with you on this chilly Saturday morning, and very pleased to be joined with the president / CEO, general manager and head coach, former CEBL All-Star, all-time great at the University of Alberta, Jordan Baker. How's that for an intro, Jordan?
I don't know if CEO quite fits, but I'll take it.
Okay, well, you know what? I thought I'd throw that in there. I'm not sure if they've added that. I guess the strategy here, though, is they've got to have at least one more title for you to give to you. So maybe that'll be the next one.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it comes with a pay raise, I'm all for it.
Jordan, thanks so much for joining us this morning. This was year 7 for the Edmonton Stingers. This is year 7 for the CEBL. Going into year 8. I think I've got that right, don't I?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So going into year 8, they expanded the season this past year. Why don't let's take a look back. Talk about the season for the Edmonton Stingers and for the league in year 7.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time we played 24 games instead of 20 in the regular season. And, so we had a couple more home dates. The season was a little bit longer, started a little bit earlier, finished a little bit later. So for us, we had a lot of new faces in the building, which is not uncommon in the CEBL, certainly. But, we're a franchise that likes to bring back players who we know are capable in the league and that the fans can connect with. So for us, there was a few new faces, a lot of whom, were great additions to the team and ended up, getting some all-star nods at the end of the season. But overall, yeah, it was a very successful season for us. I mean, the Western Conference was very strong this year, so we ended up, with the third best regular season record in the league, and that was good for third in the West. So we ended up losing to Calgary in the playoffs, but lots of highlights throughout the season. Sean East, who is our stand-up point guard, broke the CEBL single season points total record. So we were very glad to have him, and he was a runner-up for the MVP award. But all in all, we've got lots of good things to build on going into 2026.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't I see recently that Sean just signed a 2-way deal with an NBA team?
He's not on a 2-way. He was on an Exhibit 10 training camp deal with Utah.
Okay.
And now he's with their G League affiliate, the Salt Lake City Stars.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But he's getting the look that he deserves because Sean, I thought, the best guard we've had in Edmonton, of course, since the great Xavier Moon. But outstanding season, a bit of an undersized guard, but with the huge heart and the big basketball IQ that allowed him to be so dangerous in so many different ways. One of the things that I noticed being, having the opportunity and the privilege of doing the color commentary along with Doug McLean for the Stingers games was the team chemistry seemed genuine. The guys really seemed to like each other. They really seemed to pull for each other and play for each other. Accurate observation from the coaching perspective?
Yeah, I think so. I know it's a challenging task sometimes to bring guys together and have them, care about each other in such a short season. But, I think our leaders did a great job. And, we preached from the very beginning that we needed to be selfless in order to, see some success. And guys really embraced that. And, yeah, I mean, we had a 7-game winning streak in the middle of the season, which always helps morale as well. So, things came together. Guys really pulled for each other. And I think, in that locker room following the loss to Calgary to close out the season, there were some guys that were, not disappointed in their own play for selfish reasons, but disappointed in their own play because of, the way that things ended and the way that we wanted things to end from a team perspective. And that was pretty fun.
I'm talking with Jordan Baker, head coach, general manager, and president of the Edmonton Stingers in the Canadian Elite Basketball League here on Hoop City with Paul Sir. Jordan, talk about the evolution of the CEBL over the 7 years. You've been involved since day one as a player, phasing into coaching and managing. But talk about the evolution of the league. What are the trends that you're seeing? And I'll start first of all on the court with the quality of play, the quality of team, and the quality of the experience for the fans.
The it's always challenging when you start a brand new league to be able to attract top level talent, just because of the question marks and some of the questions surrounding the legitimacy of the league. And that was something that Mike Morreale, who was the former commissioner of the league, really wanted to make sure whether it was taken care of. It was like people were getting paid on time and the salaries were fair and the travel made sense and the venues were fitting for a professional league. And at the beginning, there was lots of Americans and Canadians who were looking for an opportunity. Now, the league has grown to a point where the talent on the floor is much better. We're a league that's recognized around the world. I had an assistant coach of mine in Spain for a couple of weeks, and he was getting a lot of questions about how do I get involved with the CEBL from import players who are looking to continue their careers through the summer. So the CEBL is growing. Like you said, we just finished up our 7th season. We're still very much in our infancy, but we are trying to put all the right pieces in place, and in doing so, taking care of the things on the floor. The fans are recognizing that, and our crowds are continuing to grow year over year, especially here in Edmonton. So it's a big jump from where we were 7 years ago. But hopefully we continue to grow and continue to attract guys that are one step away from the NBA for their summer fun.
It's interesting, Jordan, because the league is a niche league. It's a short period of time in what is traditionally considered to be the off season for basketball leagues around the world. But it seems to be settling into, as you said, an opportunity for a lot of players to continue playing, to continue improving while making some decent money over a short period of time in that gap area. Now, the one concern that was expressed about the size or the length of the season being increased was the fact that this would be somewhat clumsy for some players that had contracts in foreign leagues that started earlier, because for a lot of foreign leagues, they start their preseason training in August. Was that an issue this year with some of your better players?
It was an issue certainly across the league. But, for us, we had a couple of key pieces certainly that left. But it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a surprise. They gave me plenty of heads up and warning, and we just felt like we had an opportunity to field the best team we did, and we're not big on bringing in hired guns to play a game or two. So I think in 2026, the schedule that I've seen is we're going to go back to a little bit more of a shortened tail end of the season. So we'll be, I think the finals are looking at mid-August instead of late August, and so they're hoping to keep more of those talented guys around right until the end when things get interesting in the playoffs.
So in order to do that, what I would presuppose is that you will play more games in a condensed version, as opposed to sometimes I think I don't want to call it necessarily a criticism of the league, but more of an observation / slight criticism. Are the gaps between not just home games but games in general within the shortened season? So in order to accomplish that, I'm assuming you're saying they're going to stick with the 24-game regular schedule and then just try to condense it all down so you are done by mid-August, so there are fewer conflicts like I described.
Yeah, that's the plan. I think opening day is somewhere in that sort of May 8th, 9th, 10th weekend for first games of the season, and then closing kind of that first weekend in August, and then playoffs to follow. So trying to squeeze in 24 games in basically 3 months' time is going to be a fun challenge.
Yeah, it is. It is, actually, and I can see the pros and cons of that, but there are some definite pros in there, because I think building a fan base is always helped by more games closer together in their home arena. So I'm actually excited to hear about that adaptation by the CEBL. Jordan, talk about Mike Morreale's impact on the CEBL and what his moving on to whatever. I'm not sure what Mike is doing now, but he did make the decision to leave his position. He, I think, has been the face of the CEBL. I think Mike has worked extremely hard, done some phenomenal things in terms of building this league up to relevance and raising its profile. Talk about the impact of losing a figure like that on the league and what the league needs to do to replace somebody who has been so significant in this league's infancy.
Yeah, I mean, Mike was one of the guys who founded the league and one of the guys who really, pushed us to continue to play and found a way to, put together the bubble tournament over COVID and understanding that, a league that's only a year and a half old can't shut down for a full year and expect to be able to pick things up on the other side of a pandemic. So, I mean, his vision, his drive, his, trailblazing attitude and spirit has made this league what it is. And you mentioned it, he's been the face of the league. He's been an advocate and a supporter of Canadian basketball. And I think his experience with the CFL has helped us as a league avoid a lot of potential pitfalls early in our existence. He knew the importance of Canadian content and being flexible with the pay structure and how things are set up in our league have all been because of his experience with Canadian sport and with the CFL. And we were off to a much better start with a much better foundation than a lot of leagues that have come and gone in Canada on the basketball side. So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about Mike. His contributions have been tremendous, and we wish him all the best. And I'm not sure what the league's plans are, but it's going to be big shoes to fill, certainly, in that commissioner role.
Jordan Baker, president, GM, and head coach of the Edmonton Stingers of the CEBL, joining us on Hoop City on Sports 1440. Okay, Jordan, moving forward, you've got a gap now of a number of months that you're in until the training camp starts in late April or May, and the season gets started. What is the organizational philosophy about what to do in the community in the off season?
Yeah, so last year, the off season of 2024-25, we started what we call the Basketball Bridge program, which is aimed at sort of connecting all levels of basketball throughout the city, from coaching to officiating to, youth players to tournaments to 3x3 to all those other fun things that exist within our, basketball ecosystem. And so we're continuing with that. We just wrapped up a couple of single-day camps over the sort of fall break here. We had over 175 kids come through our doors and get a little bit of coaching from our professional coaching staff. We've got a under 9 Christmas tournament going on the last weekend before the holidays. We've got some more single day camps, some tournaments. We're very fortunate that the strike has ended. Maybe not on the best of terms, but that means high school basketball is back, and that means we're able to run our high school all-star showcase in April and do some of the things that we've enjoyed doing with connecting to the community and making sure that people don't forget we exist at the Expo Center in anticipation for that season opener in May.
Well, and that's fantastic. Keeping the Stinger name alive through meaningful media opportunities for the youth in particular in the community I think is a real feather in the cap of the organization. So that's fantastic. I think you've got somebody helping you out in the background, and that's fantastic. Now let's talk about next season. Now, I assume you're already thinking about the composition of the team, who you have back, what you bring in. When does that process start for you, Jordan?
I'm in contact with players now, especially like our players from 2025. Just checking in on them, making sure that they know that I'm following along closely and that we're interested in bringing them back for next season. Players typically right now are worried about making sure they're carving out a role and doing their best to adjust to their winter seasons. Wherever they're playing overseas right now, and then sort of once that new year calendar turns over, that's when people start to think about, okay, what are my summer plans going to look like in 2026? And that's when we can have some more meaningful conversations about roles and team composition. I continue to add to my spreadsheet of lists of guys we might think might be a fit in town, but nothing really gets moving until January with those conversations. And then we have the ability to sign players to contracts on February 1st. And so that's sort of when free agency opens, and we'll do our best to figure out, what that looks like for us. And oftentimes we're signing players right up until, the middle of April. So it's a fun couple of months as we try to, put together what we think a team that would be, a competitive championship caliber team looks like on paper. And then I get 9 days to get them ready for the first game. So we're still identifying players and looking at, especially Canadians that are in the NCAA or going to be finishing their NCAA careers and how they might be able to be a good fit for us. Take a pay cut to come play in the CEBL, but we're excited about those conversations coming New Year.
And when you're referring to that, I know that's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's actually accurate because, and I know you mean it in a serious way as well, is because of the change in the NCAA and the way that they're compensating players right now. What you just stated is probably true. And finally, Jordan, one final question. One of the observations I think a lot of people are making is that the G League has become much, much more significant in filling out teams' rosters in the CEBL. Now, you have so many considerations that have to go in terms of putting your roster together, but timing of players and foreign contracts. For instance, I'll use the example, a guy like Ahiru Guak from Harry Ainley, who last year couldn't have played even if he would have wanted to because he was rehabbing from a serious knee injury. But a guy like that who's playing on a very good team in Germany, his season could go really deep into the CEBL season. Then you have to factor in time of rest, all of those things. Whereas with the G League season, it's much more conducive. How important is the G League to Jordan Baker in terms of you scouting potential talent for the 2026 Edmonton Stingers?
Yeah, I mean, it's tremendously important. Being able to have somebody from start to finish without concerns of them, showing up late or leaving early is huge. The hard part is, oftentimes the G League, like there could be transactions from, upgrading a player from a G League roster to a 10-day to a two-way, where now all of a sudden they're not looking towards CBL opportunities, but towards NBA opportunities and summer league and all the fun things that come along with being, an NBA player. So, those conversations, especially when the trade deadline is, oftentimes, you get the rug pulled out from under you a little bit if you're having conversations with the guy and it's looking good. And then all of a sudden they get signed to a 10-day deal in the NBA. And now, their CEBL future is certainly in question. So for us, we try to, cast a wide net, trying to identify some players that have, had good college careers, but maybe are a little bit undervalued in the G League, and finding guys that we think would fit our style of play and honestly our personality, because we're a very much blue collar city and try to embody that on the floor with guys that are hardworking and don't take things for granted and are not big ego guys, because I like coming to work and being able to deal with players that are, open to coaching and want what's best for the team and want to represent Edmonton the right way. So the G League is a challenging entity for sure. But with the timing of our season, it's a very much important one that we're continuing to try to explore. And all these guys are, there for a reason. They want to play in the NBA, and, anything short of that sometimes can be seen as a letdown. So for us, we're trying to sell our league as another stepping stone to get to where they want to get to, which is, suiting up on an NBA basketball floor.
I like the image that you created, Jordan, of casting the wide net. I'm going to throw another one in as we close out here. It's juggling chainsaws on a unicycle while playing a trumpet. So I think, you've got a lot of factors that you have to take into account in assembling, keeping, and building a roster and building cohesion and chemistry. And the success of the Stingers speak for itself. Jordan, you've been a huge, huge part of it. I really want to thank you for taking the time this morning. I know you're a father of a youngster, and you're a very busy man. So thanks for joining us. We look forward to having you join us frequently here on the newly named Hoop City with Paul Sir. And all the best in the off season and all of your community endeavors as you build up to the 2026 Edmonton Stingers season.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for having me, and yeah, we'll chat soon for sure.